locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke loves wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
That's right. It's Thursday, baby. You know what that means? It is time for Duke Loves Wrestling. I am your illustrious host, the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour. And we're back. That's right, we're back. This is the show about pro wrestling and everything else. My co-host, the Boston bad boy, this fool. You know, I keep telling this guy, you gotta use sanitizer. You have to wipe things down. You have to clean your hands. He shares an office during his day job there, and I tell him, you got to sanitize this place because people are disgusting. Sure enough, he is sick once again, folks. Anybody keeping score, he is a sickly you-know-what. Anyways, I hope he gets well. Shout out to the Boston bad boy. Nonetheless, you know, the Duke is here, and when I'm alone, that means we can talk more wrestling. Not nonsense, because you know the Boston bad boy is not a wrestling fan, but we can really get into the nitty-gritty, the nerdy stuff, the stuff that you all really want to hear about. With this week's episode, I'll be going over the top stories in the wild world of professional wrestling. Also have Reed to talk a little bit about everything else. I mean, he's going to talk boxing. He's going to talk UFC, MMA stuff, maybe a little football. You know, every time Sean Reed from Pugilism Co. comes on, we have a good time, man. He's a good dude, so I can't wait to chop it up with him. But before we get to any of that, folks, stop the presses. Yesterday, this was Wednesday the 13th of March. Goodness gracious, Facebook and Instagram were down. Down, baby, down. Nobody was able to communicate with each other. All of you Duke Loves Wrestling fans and folks who are part of the wrestling crew, you weren't able to get your fix of wrestling news throughout the day. It was crazy. So it got me to thinking, though. Can you imagine this? You're an alleged Instagram model, or even better, you're an influencer. You know, this is a big deal out there. You are a Instagram influencer, or you're a Facebook influencer. They're both owned by the same company, by the way. What the hell did you do on the 13th of March 2019? Did you lose a lot of money? I mean, how did you survive? You weren't able to post. You weren't able to update. You weren't able to communicate with your so-called fans out there. What the hell did you do? I want to know. I want to know from all of you influencers out there, all you Instagram models out there, all of you folks who are addicted to Facebook, how the hell did you survive the 13th of March 2019, the day when Instagram and Facebook went down? Shoot me a message over there on Facebook or Twitter at Duke Loves Wrestling. That's RASSLIN. You can even email me at dukeloveswrestling@gmail.com. But it's interesting. You know, I want to know how folks were able to cope with something that has become such an important part of our lives. I mean, even if you don't consider yourself a model or an influencer or what have you, the notion that you were not able to communicate with people using the medium that you normally use to communicate. I mean, you know, let's face it. Most folks are using social media more than they're using their own telephone service. They're using their telephone service to access social media. So what did you do? And God forbid you have a business that depends on that type of interaction, or you had a meeting that you had scheduled on Facebook or something like that. Because this came out of the blue, man. This was like, whoa. You know what I mean? We didn't even see it coming. No warning. And there's a lot of pro wrestling content out there. News sites, group chats. You have pro wrestlers who interact with their fans on a regular basis. I know, shout out to Lil Noel and Big Vito Lagrazo. They post a lot of stuff. They do a lot of live chats and things of that nature. What the hell would you do? Furthermore, think about our friend Babam. He's over there at, you should play this in XBit Gaming, what have you. What the hell do they do? They're the #1 retro gaming page on Facebook. So they stream live feeds of people playing video games. How the hell did they handle the Facebook apocalypse yesterday? Shoot me a message, though, folks. Let me know how you handled it because, like I said, I'm curious. And the best responses I'll read next week on the air because I'm sure there's some pretty good stories about that, how folks were able to cope with missing out on Facebook. With that said, you know something? Let's just move right on to it. We don't even need a bell. Let's run the ropes. Old school style, baby. Run the ropes. That's right. We're going to run the ropes. It's when I give the top stories in the world of professional wrestling. Let's go.
Hot stuff coming up.
And we're going to start off with my man, Shane O'Mac. That's right. Shane McMahon. He attacked The Miz and The Miz's father this past weekend at the pay-per-view that WWE had. They have 1 million pay-per-views, but this was Fastlane. But, Shane and The Miz, they were going up against the Usos for the SmackDown World Tag Team Championships. And Usos won, and then afterwards, Shane just proceeded to beat the living hell out of The Miz. And then he beat on his father on top of that. Who didn't see that coming, though? I mean, of course we knew that we were leading up to a Shane McMahon versus The Miz at WrestleMania match. And it's going to be crazy. Nonetheless, boy, Shane really put a little extra mustard into that, huh? It's like it was almost personal. And then when he grabbed The Miz's father by the face. You ever see somebody grab somebody by the face? Like they got a big hand and they squeeze the cheeks and he's like, oh, come here. So he did one of those to him and it was like, wow, that was pretty intense.
Damn it.
So, I don't know, man. It's going to be an interesting match. I am a big fan of The Miz. I think that he is the most underrated wrestler probably in history. I mean, this guy's been able to accomplish so much despite the fact that he's believed to be not very good at his job, which is just ridiculous. So I think he's going to pull out a pretty good match out of Shane come WrestleMania. And Shane, God, what is he going to jump off of this time? Is he going to go up into space? Is Shane McMahon going to go up into space? Is he going to get on the moon and then try to dive on top of The Miz from the moon? Come on. What do you think? Let me know. Let me know if you think Shane's going to go into outer space and do a crazy dive. I think he will. I think Shane is just out of his mind. Maybe he's trying to prove something to his father, and no matter what he does, Vince is just like, that was okay, pal. Who knows? But we'll see there. Still, interesting turn of events there with Shane McMahon and The Miz and this newly found feud that they have going on here.
I want to discuss all this behavior.
Breaking news. Johnny Wrestling attacks Ciampa. That's right, Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, him and Tommaso Ciampa, they're like the odd couple, man. They're hot, they're cold, they're friends, they hate each other, they're tag teaming with each other, then they're beating the hell out of each other. So for the millionth time in history, Johnny Gargano attacks Ciampa. Ciampa's usually one attacking Gargano, so I won't say it's the millionth time that that's happened that way, but it's the millionth time they've broken up as friends. And, breaking news on that, too, unfortunately, Ciampa's injured. So we won't even get a chance to see a payoff for what's going to happen between these two, unfortunately. Nonetheless, it was still pretty interesting to see Gargano do what he did. Both of these guys recently got called up to the WWE main roster from NXT. So, pretty exciting to see them on Raw and on SmackDown doing their thing. And it's unfortunate that Ciampa is injured because, boy, who doesn't want to see Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa one more time in an NXT ring, especially at TakeOver, which is going to be happening on WrestleMania weekend. That would have been a perfect way for them to give the kiss goodbye to NXT and then officially be part of the WWE main roster. So I hope Ciampa gets well soon. The guy's been doing excellent work the past year. Johnny Wrestling, hey, he could be the next Daniel Bryan. I mean, I think he is a sympathetic character if he's put in the right situation. And maybe not having Ciampa around for a little while will help him build, especially with these main roster folks. So by the time Ciampa comes back, you know, Johnny Wrestling has even more to add to their feud. So we'll see. We'll see. But it was interesting, you know, nonetheless. I mean, both of these guys can go, and especially against each other. It's like they're two brothers that beat the hell out of each other just a little bit more because they understand that the other party can take it. So Ciampa, get well, brother. Gargano, go for that brass ring.
Wow.
Ronda Rousey continues to get real. And I'm going to ask Reed about this because Reed is a combat sports expert, and you know, Reed has a lot of thoughts about Ronda Rousey. He studied her career for a while, but she is just going on the deep end with this wrestling is fake, but she's real stuff, and she's going to beat the F out of Becky Lynch and F the WWE Universe fans and all this crazy stuff she's talking. I mean, she really is just, boy, she hasn't let up on this stuff. She's actually continued with the onslaught here, and I don't know what to say about it. I mean, I'm afraid of Ronda Rousey. Let's get that clear, okay? Let's make that clear for the whole world. I'm afraid of Ronda Rousey. If Ronda Rousey came up to me right now and gave me that look that she gives, Ronda Rousey can have my wallet, she can have my shoes, she can have my shirt. I don't care. Just don't judo throw me and break my arm, please. Just don't do that, okay? Which she's known to do to everybody. So WWE's got to be really careful because Ronda Rousey is not Brock Lesnar. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. Brock Lesnar is an entertainer. He's a sports entertainer. He's a sports entertainer who just so happened to transition into UFC and beat people up for real. But make no mistake about it, he is first and foremost a sports entertainer. Ronda Rousey, I wouldn't even call her a sports entertainer. If she is a sports entertainer, she might be the worst that's ever done it. Ronda Rousey is real. She's a fighter. Okay? She's a fighter. She's a judo player. She's a person who will beat the hell out of you. Even when she's trying not to beat the hell out of you, she's beating the hell out of you. That's just who she is. She's like just on another planet with that stuff, man. So I don't know about pushing her buttons. So when I look at the stuff that Becky Lynch keeps tweeting about her, I just shake my head, man. I just shake my head. I don't know who is advising Becky Lynch to keep poking Ronda Rousey the way that she has, but she better ease up because Ronda Rousey, I think that she might be a couple of fries short of a Happy Meal. And what I mean by that is she may, smile, it's all fun and games, until she gets to the point where she really has you, and then she just lays you out. Who's going to stop her? Who's going to do anything about it? Who's going to be able to prove that she did it on purpose? Right? It's pro wrestling. Accidents happen. So if Ronda Rousey decides she's just going to break your arm today, what are you going to do about it? You can't sue her for that. It's pro wrestling. This is what happens when you take real fighters and you put them in the ring with entertainers. Because, listen, Becky Lynch is not a real fighter. I don't care what anybody says. She's a nice lady. I'm very proud of what she's been able to do. But she's a sports entertainer. And she's not even a fighter. If you put Becky Lynch in the UFC against the lowest ranked fighter right now, she would get her butt kicked. But Ronda Rousey is a fighter. And talking trash to a fighter and calling her Ronnie and all this other derogatory nonsense she has going. I mean, this is going to be a tough one, man. I don't know. I don't know who's going to win that fight. Well, actually, I know who's going to win the fight if it's a fight because Ronda Rousey will. But let's just hope that Becky Lynch walks out of WrestleMania with all of her parts because I have a funny feeling Ronda Rousey is going to take a piece out of her. And I think they put Charlotte Flair in that match and made it a triple threat just in case Ronda blacks out and beats the hell out of Becky. Hopefully Charlotte can pull Ronda off of her, which I doubt that can happen, even though Charlotte is pretty strong. But still, it's Ronda Rousey we're talking about. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But there's a good chance that's going to be the main event at WrestleMania. And we'll be talking about that in the next upcoming weeks. In fact, we'll get a couple of guys from the websites to give us a preview of WrestleMania and talk more about that. But stay tuned. WWE continuing on with the racist storyline.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. And listen, shout out to my man, Bruce Mitchell. He keeps the heat going on this. This whole thing with Kofi Kingston. This past week on SmackDown, Vince McMahon was talking about how he doesn't deserve, people like you don't deserve to be in the main event, and they don't deserve to have an opportunity to be champion, and all this other crazy stuff, man. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the point. It's, and the Boston Bad Boy made me bring it up a couple of weeks ago. It's eerily similar to the Booker T feud that he had with Triple H. And here we go again. We're using that borderline racist rhetoric to put down a black wrestler. I'm not going to say a wrestler of color, a black wrestler. And in the end, what's going to be the payoff? If Kofi Kingston does not walk out of WrestleMania the SmackDown World Champion, what was the point of all this nonsense going on right now? It's ugly, man. WWE is painting themselves in a corner, and I'm telling you right now, there will be hell to pay if Kofi's not champion. And what I mean by that, and listen up here, it's going to be pretty hard for the WWE to justify to their investors, to the fans, to the sponsors. It's going to be very difficult for them to justify this nonsense that they're doing in 2019. Because of all the storylines that you could write and all of the things all the emotions you can play upon in order to get fans interested in your product. Do you have to go to racism? Do you have to push that button? Come on. And I got to bring it up because it's right in our face. I mean, we can't pretend like it's not happening, folks. It's happening. We'll see how this evolves. And, we're just a couple of weeks away from Mania. But I'm telling you, I'm worried. If Kofi Kingston doesn't get the payoff here, what is the WWE saying to its fan base? It's a question. And Vincent Kennedy McMahon's a good friend of mine, and I'm a little concerned right now about where we're going with this. And I'll just leave it at that. WoW Superheroes continues to do a great job.
That's the loveliest thing I've ever heard.
That's right, folks. WoW Superheroes. Now, this is the promotion that is all women's promotion. All their wrestlers are women. And they're on Access TV Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They just finished up Season 1, and they've already been signed for a Season 2, 22 episodes. So congratulations to all of the hard-working wrestlers in WoW. Their champion currently is Tessa Blanchard, which makes me sick. Makes me sick to my stomach because Tessa Blanchard, she's a show-off. She's a loudmouth. She's brash. She's a cheater. Not really a fan of hers. I think she cheated Jungle Girl out of that championship. I think the Beast would make a much better champion. But I'm going to go on record and say this. You better watch out for Cobra Moon. Cobra Moon, she's pretty tough customer out there, and I'm pretty impressed with her work. So you better watch out for her. And you better watch out for Jessie Jones. Jessie Jones is going to make wrestling great again. Okay, that's what she's promised the entire world. And I have a funny feeling that Jessie Jones is going to be WoW Women's Champion in the not too distant future. In fact, I'm throwing this out there right now. Jessie Jones, you are welcome to come on the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast. Let's talk about the fact that you should be WoW Women's Champion, and let's talk about the fact how you're going to make that happen next season. And hopefully I can talk you into slapping around that no-good Samantha Smart. She calls me IQ inferior, folks, which is very disrespectful. It's very disrespectful. I don't like it. I don't like the way, she doesn't know what she's talking about. There's no way the Duke is IQ inferior. And this Samantha Smart, I don't know about her. She messed up. She manages the disciplinarian, and she cost her a match. And I don't even want to get too deep into that because that's Samantha Smart. She's no good. She's a lemon, very sour, very sour. But Jessie Jones is my pick though. You watch out for her, folks. Jessie Jones and the Beast season 2. They're gonna tear it up at WoW. I'm very proud of what the folks over at WoW have been able to do. It's a great promotion. They put on a great TV show. There's some very good wrestling action going on inside that ring there, and it's pretty cool to see. So keep it up, ladies. Keep it up. And the number one story in the world of professional wrestling, at least from my perspective, promoters not paying their talents.
Unbelievable.
And let me tell you something, folks. I'm going to get on my soapbox with this one because I'm just disgusted. I'm very disgusted. It's a thing, and it's been going on since wrestling first started. People who are allegedly promoters, they're getting too ahead of themselves. They're getting in over their head. And they're putting themselves in a situation where they're booking talent. And then they're late with paying the talent or just not paying the talent at all. And I'm just going to tell you right now, it's really bad. In fact, I'm going to call out a promotion directly. NovaPro Wrestling, which I believe they're based out of Virginia. There's a lot of folks out there who've been talking about you, including All Ego Ethan Page. He called you guys out straight up. In fact, he put out a tweet. Surprise, surprise. NovaPro guy didn't pay people again this weekend. That's on you guys for taking his booking still. If any of you that still work for him ever drop a brother on me, forget about it. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, and shout out to All Ego Ethan Page. He's an interesting guy. I have personally spoken to numerous wrestlers who have confirmed that NovaPro Wrestling, they book some great talent and they put on a great show. But there is something definitely wrong with their management. They do a poor job of paying the wrestlers on time, if ever. I was talking to a wrestler who told me that their first few shots with NovaPro, they were paid $25. $25. And they took it because they figured, well, they'll be in the ring with more experienced talent, so, why not? Invest in yourself. The booker was late paying the $25, and it happened more than once. Come on. I spoke to another talent who just worked NovaPro this past weekend, and they still hadn't been paid. That's as of this recording. So imagine you do a show on a Friday or a Saturday, and it's Thursday, and you still haven't been paid. What the hell is going on? And NovaPro is supposed to be running a event WrestleMania weekend. Now listen, this isn't hearsay anymore. There's too many people corroborating this. Jordan Grace has gone on record. There's too many people corroborating this. Get it together, NovaPro. Fans like your product. You have support out there. So I don't even know why the hell you're not able to pay the wrestlers in the first place. Stop promoting if you can't do it. You jerk. I will personally call the Attorney General's office and the Secretary of State's office in Virginia. Okay? I'll do it. I don't care. We have to stop supporting entities that don't support the sport that we love so much, which is professional wrestling. And when you put a talent in a position where you book them and you expect them to go out there and risk their lives, let's not play games about this here. They're risking their lives, folks. You can't even pay them the $25 on time or the $100 on time. Is that really that? If it's that big of a deal, why the hell are you booking it? Come on. And it makes me wonder, do you have the proper insurance to even be putting on that show in the first place? Come on. We got to call these promotions out, man. And we have to stop spending our money at their events. And somebody's going to say, well, no, we can't do that, man, because then the workers won't have any place to work. BS. support the promotions that support the wrestlers. Period. And listen, you folks at NovaPro who run the show, you're welcome to come on the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast and give your side of the story. It's an open forum. I don't mind. But I've spoken to too many people, and I've seen too many social media posts, and I've heard too many interviews where this isn't smoke. This is a forest fire going on here. And you're going to run a show WrestleMania weekend? Give me a break. Smarten up. Cut the crap. Pay the ladies and gentlemen on time. Or don't put on a show. Period.
That's pretty much it.
You've heard what I think. Now, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm a jerk? Maybe something in between? Head over to Facebook. Head over to Twitter. Type in Duke Loves Wrestling and let me know. Up next, my man from Pugilism Co., the combat sports writer, Sean Reed.
This is Alexa. And this is Brianna. And we're Sugar and Spice. And you're listening to Duke Loves Wrestling.
Welcome back to the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast. My man from Texas, the pride of Texas. We're talking about Reed from Pugilism Co. What's up, man?
Duke, my brother, what's going on?
Oh, man, another day in paradise, Reed. Listen, that fool Boston Bad Boy, he's sick again because he doesn't know how to use hand sanitizer and all that. I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with this guy. You know?
Is he truly sick? Is he sick of you? Have we confirmed? Like, what's the deal? Talk to me now.
You know, it could be a little A and a whole lot of B. You know?
Okay. Wash them hands, bad boy. Wash them hands, bro.
Exactly. I told him, I said, listen, man, and stop trying to hang out with all these crazy women late at night too. You know, this guy, he thinks he's some kind of party animal too. I don't know. I don't know about him.
Okay. That's not a bad life.
Hey, listen, he's too old for that, man. That's why he's sick all the damn time. See? Right. But listen, speaking of too old, before we get going on the good stuff here, I saw a clip recently, and it's been making the rounds online. Mike Tyson is standing in a bar with a bunch of people surrounding him, and he's explaining to them how to throw a proper punch and put your weight in and all this stuff. And 1 second he's saying that, and he's doing it in slow motion, and the next minute he did like a 4 or 5 hit combo, like from Street Fighter or something like that. I couldn't believe it, man. In your opinion, Reed, can Mike Tyson still go in the ring?
He couldn't, he wouldn't be a threat to Wilder or Fury or something like that. But in his prime, hell yes, he would have been a major threat to both of them and probably a favorite to beat either. In fact, Tyson Fury, he was named after Mike Tyson. He was named after Mike Tyson. But at Mike's age, it's all muscle memory at this point. He started boxing at like 12 or 13. He was in the Bad Boys home, and from there he went up to Catskill and met Cus D'Amato. So he's been doing this stuff since he was 12 or 13, Duke. It'll never leave him. And yeah, he could still give you one hell of a round for sure, but the problem is in his mid-50s, he would fatigue quickly. We don't know his durability anymore. He was very durable in his prime, but at 50-something, who knows? But yeah, for just 1 3-minute round, he could give anybody hell right now, undoubtedly. And anybody on the street, don't even think about it. You'll get your ass probably murdered from Mike Tyson in a street fight. Like, don't get too drunk and think that. No, please don't. Please don't.
Well, this is the part that, and I hate to act like I'm such an old man. I mean, Jesus, I'm only 36 years old. But the thing about me is that I have a crazy memory. I remember a lot of things from when I was younger, and I remember my father bringing all his friends over to watch the fights at the house on pay-per-view, Cablevision. And if Mike Tyson was fighting, we had to watch Mike Tyson fight. And let me tell you something, man. These kids today, they can never appreciate what it felt like to be in the moment when this stuff was happening live. When it was happening, and you ain't never seen nothing like that before, where this young kid with the part in his hair just coming out and destroying people. And he wasn't the biggest guy in the world either. But just, Jesus, Mike Tyson. Oh, my God, Mike Tyson.
He was only like 5'10 and a half, 5'11, but he was built like an NFL running back. He's like 215, 220. And the level of violence, that's what made him who he was in terms of popularity, was the sheer level of violence. I encourage anyone listening, just go to YouTube and pull up Mike Tyson's greatest hits. Lasts about an hour, like for real. They'll show you like 20 or 30 of Mike's greatest knockouts in like an hour time frame. That's how quickly he was running through people. It's worth the watch. I still check it out probably twice a year myself. Mike Tyson's greatest hits.
And really, is it fair to say that Mike Tyson was the first hip hop boxer? I mean, bringing the culture and coming out to the music and all that. Would you say he was the most well known boxer to come out like that?
Yeah, he was the most well known for certain. Before he went to jail, he was into East Coast hip hop. Once he got out, him and Tupac clicked up real good. Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker was another. He's from Virginia area, so he was into some East Coast hip hop. But of course, Mike was much more well known than Sweet Pea Whitaker was. But yeah, those are the two that stick out to me most prominently as those ushering in. Then of course, Roy Jones years later. But yeah, it was Mike and Sweet Pea Whitaker from memory.
Absolutely, sure. Absolutely. And maybe that's why there's still such a strong affection for Mike Tyson, the boxer, because of what he meant to the culture. You know, you may never see that again.
There's guys today still using Tyson's name in rhymes. Like dudes who probably never saw him fought, but that's how much his name resonates. The whole 2 generations later or whatever, they're still mentioning him in hip hop songs.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. So let's talk now, Reed, because speaking of boxing, I hear there's a major card happening this weekend. And it's something that I think you've been talking about for a little while now. Can you give us a clue on what's going on?
Oh yes, we have Dallas's own Errol Spence, IBF welterweight champion of the world. He's defending his title against one of the best fighters on the planet, Mikey Garcia. Mikey is 39-0, 30 KOs. Spence is 24-0, 21 KOs. Now, the interesting part about this, Mikey's won titles at 4 weight classes, 126, 130, 135, and 140. He had moved back down to 135 in his last fight, and now he's jumping up literally 2 weight classes to challenge Errol Smith for his title at welterweight, which is 147. That'll be Saturday on Fox pay-per-view. Yeah.
You said Spence, right?
Yeah, Spence. Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia.
So tell me now, because this was a fight that I didn't even think would ever happen, just because you're talking about 2 guys who may not have wanted to put a blemish on their record. How do we get to this point where this fight is this going to be a big money fight? Is that why it's happening?
Yeah, it's on pay-per-view. It's from AT&T Stadium, a.k.a. Jerry World, which is in Arlington, a suburb of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. It'll be huge. It's most of the superstars are here in town. Of course, Dallas Cowboys players will be there. They had the final press conference yesterday, which I was fortunate enough to attend. They'll have the weigh-in tomorrow, which I'll also be at. It's a mega event, man, but just to me, I think they have weight classes for a reason. This fight is happening because at 147, none of the other champions, I'm talking Sean Porter, I'm talking Keith Thurman, none of these other guys wanted any drama with Errol Spence, no matter how badly he called them out. Well, Mikey wants greatness. He's daring to be great, as he puts it. I even asked him, is there a fine line between ambitious and crazy? He said, look, you have to be great, you have to have a little bit of crazy in you. So he knew Spence was basically the boogeyman at 147. So he's like, why not? I've got titles in 4 divisions just under 147. If I beat him, there's no question I'm the best guy. I'm the man right now. I'm top fighter in the world pound for pound. It'll enhance his legacy in a way that beating Sugar Ray Leonard enhanced Roberto Duran's legacy. There's parallels here, but he's not Roberto Duran. There's talents and things that Duran had that escaped Mikey. He's a hell of a fighter, one of my favorite fighters. Very cool, skilled fighter, tough dude, but I'm afraid we're going to learn again, painfully, that they have weight classes for a reason when it's all said and done.
That's a hell of a statement. That's a hell of a statement. And you were there, Reed. I saw that you posted online. You were there for some kind of press event related to the fight. Talk to us about the atmosphere there, and did you pick up on any fear from anybody or anything like that? What was the buzz like?
The tension was palpable. There's no fear when guys are this good and they've done it that long and they're at this level. There'll be some anxiousness in terms of butterflies, but that's more of, man, I can't wait to get in the ring with this guy. But fear, no. Spence, he's a gentleman. He's kind of got some Sugar Ray Leonard in him. But just like Ray Leonard, don't let the pretty boy smile fool you. That dude is a killer underneath. He likes hurting people. He wants to hurt people. He won't admit it. But I think from a competitive standpoint, right, there's no personal beef between him and Mikey. But competitively, I think Spence is offended that a guy so much smaller than him really thinks he can just move up and take what he's got. And I think he can't wait to demonstrate it. I think in the very first round, it'll be obvious who the superior fighter is. I really do, dude.
Wow.
I've been wrong before.
Strong.
I've been wrong on your show before. So, I'm not sitting there beating my chest or anything, but that's just my gut feeling on it, for real. That's
a strong statement. That's not just strong, as they say in certain parts down south. That's strong. That's a strong statement you got going on there, man. Damn. Now, tell me, Reed. I'm starting to get the feeling that we are in the midst of another golden era of boxing, where it's a lot more accessible on the television. The ratings are coming back. And with the advent of, social media, that's boosting its profile online as well. Am I wrong at that?
No, you're absolutely right, Duke. I don't think there's ever been more boxing televised than it has been currently. Now, you may have to go through different avenues. HBO got out of the mix late last year. We now have streaming services via ESPN and DAZN. But I mean, like DAZN, for a monthly fee of $9.95, you have access to whatever fights they show that month and all the fights in their catalog. So think of it this way: in a year, you will have paid $120. Bear in mind, Canelo Alvarez is now over there. So is Triple G. So if and when these guys fight again, it won't be on pay-per-view. It'll be on the streaming app service, which you're already paying $9.95 a month for. So would you rather pay $120 for a whole year with unlimited access to their fights, or do you want to go $75, $80 for 3 or 4 pay-per-views per year? It's more cost-effective to me, and I'm loving the direction that it's going. Sometimes they sign these guys like Wilder and Fury were all scheduled to have a rematch, then out of nowhere ESPN throws money at them for the sole purpose of cock-blocking the rematch. It'll happen eventually. ESPN just wants it on their terms, so we're having to wait. But all in all, no, you are absolutely correct. More boxing is being shown than ever before. The ratings speak for themselves. Fan interest is only growing. And I think with that, participation in the sport will grow. But there's little kids checking all of this out too. And at no point does a kid grow up and not want to be a badass. You know what I'm saying? No one says, I want to grow up and not be able to kick anybody's ass. You want to be the tough kid. So that's how you get into boxing. You get your skills up, and who knows? Maybe you become a professional fighter. Who knows?
That's well said. That's well said. And I think that becoming a professional boxer or just picking up boxing as a sport and learning it and what have you, I think that's easily attainable compared to MMA, where there's just so many different disciplines that you really want to hone in on, including boxing, if you want to be any good at it. Boxing is something that it's its own science, it's its own sport, it's its own discipline, and you can focus primarily on that and become decent enough at it. At least be the best fighter on your street.
Exactly.
I think we're starting to see an oversaturation of MMA in the market. And as we see that, people are starting to pay more attention to boxing, including the folks who may not necessarily be the biggest combat sport fans in general. I think they're going to pick boxing over MMA more often than not.
It's easier to watch and appreciate. Like most casual mixed martial arts fans, they don't appreciate ground fighting or wrestling the way that they should. They
want to see a boxing match.
They want to see something broken, or they want to see you standing up, bleeding, trading shots. That's what 99% of fight watchers want to see.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it really makes me scratch my head. I mean, you'll hear fans boo when they start to see grappling. They want to see two guys stand up, or two women stand up and slug it out. You want to see a boxing match. That's what you want to see. Why are you watching MMA if you want to see a boxing match? Go watch boxing.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And thank goodness that it's more accessible now. There's no two ways about it. Switching speeds now, since we brought up the comparison, MMA, we saw your boy John Bones Jones, the biggest cheater in history. We saw him have a fight a couple weeks ago, and to my surprise, and really to the surprise of the MMA world, he was not able to submit or knock out his opponent, this young cat by the name of Anthony Smith. Now, Smith came in with an undefeated record, so it's not like he was the easiest fighter to fight. But is it possible that John Jones, that age, is starting to catch up to him now?
I personally think, and believe me, I'll never call a fighter scared or a coward. I think that fight played out as it did because Smith never really opened up. I think his MO was to not get hurt. And if a world-class fighter doesn't want to open up and take risks, if his only concern is not getting hurt, then it's hard. It's not hard to beat a guy like that, but it's hard to stop and or submit a guy. I mean, he wasn't opening up with punches. He really wasn't taking chances trying to take John Jones down. Everything he did was all defense. Could Jones have gotten more creative in his attack? Sure. But I think it became apparent to him after like the second or third round, it's like, this guy won't open up, man. So do I really take the risk and get caught with something stupid? You know, I'll keep throwing kicks here and there and punches, but you're going to say I'm a Bones apologist. I know you don't like him, and rightfully so. He's not the most likable dude. But I think that fight had more to do with what Smith would not do versus any signs of age or slowing down on Jones's part.
That's an interesting take there, Reed, and I absolutely disagree with you, but I respect the take. and let me explain what I mean by that. I don't think Smith belongs in the ring with John Bones Jones. I don't think he's the caliber of fighter with or without the steroids that Jones is. So the notion that Jones really couldn't do anything with him, despite the fact that Smith was not trying to fight Jones. I mean, like you said, he really was just trying to survive, which was very strange to me. But I think there's something wrong with Smith just in general. I mean, here you have a guy. The fight before that, Jones was talking all kinds of trash and called Smith a female anatomy and all kinds of other things. And Smith wouldn't, Bisping was making fun of Smith because he wouldn't return any vigor back at Jones. And that played out throughout the lead up of the fight. Smith would not talk trash. And after the fight, Jones goes over and kisses his fists and talks about how refreshing it is that the guy wouldn't talk trash and all this other nonsense. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, this guy is just crazy. I mean, it ain't even that he couldn't talk trash or that he didn't know how to talk trash. He's just legitimately crazy. And the one thing that made me realize he was crazy is when John Jones hit him illegally and should have got suspended. That fight should have been a suspension. And Smith wouldn't allow the referee to do it. Now, Reed, correct me if I'm wrong. Wouldn't there be more money in the rematch? Because there wouldn't have been a definitive fighter if Smith would have accepted the suspension of Jones for the illegal hit.
I think that plays into my original point. They would have disqualified Jones, and that would have led to the second loss of his career. The first loss was also a DQ on Matt Hamill with what they call a 12-6 elbow strike. I think Smith knew that, but Smith also knew, well, hell, I'm not liking what I'm feeling in this fight with Jones. Do I really want to subject myself? Do I really want to subject myself to a rematch where now I've blemished this dude's record? He's really going to give me the business in a I don't know. There's 1,000 ways to look at it and think about it, but you're right. He was way too accommodating with Jones. And at the end of the day, if no, you don't have to talk shit to be a successful fighter. Lennox Lewis didn't talk shit. But it gets to a point, like, if you kept shit talking Lennox Lewis, he was going to say something aggressively back to you. We never saw that from Smith, which, I didn't like it either. I noticed the same thing you noticed. And he fought like a guy who just wasn't going to swing. Like, this guy kicking you, hitting you, do something back to him, bro. Nothing. So, yeah, when he had the opportunity to win the fight, I think it went through his mind, nah, I can take this W, but then I'm going to have to take this rematch with this dude. And it's going to be even worse than it is right now.
I think Smith watched too many, he kept rewinding and watching Friday, and he thinks he's Smokey, and John Jones is Debo, so he thought he had mind control over Debo. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I didn't. No, not quite, bro.
Come on, man. It really made me scratch my head. He should
have been Craig and stood up to Debo, but like you said, he was Smokey.
Yeah, and Smith doesn't deserve to be in an MMA ring if he's not going to put forth his best effort. And I'm sorry, I've seen that guy fight before. I don't even think that was half of his best effort. He just didn't want to fight.
In his highlights and his other fights, he's vicious as hell. There wasn't any traces of that. It's like he left his killer instinct back from his home state. He didn't bring it to the ring with him that night.
Yeah, it was completely disappointing and just really a disgrace to the sport. And I'm sorry for being so tough on him, but I just can't understand a guy who gets a big money fight like that, and you have an opportunity to turn it into a bigger money fight, and you just do everything in your power not to even take the opportunity. Just don't even come back. Get out of here, man. We don't have time for that. We don't have.
I didn't hear Dana White's post-fight comments, but Dana couldn't have been pleased with Smith's performance. No way in hell.
Oh, hell no. How could you? I mean, the fight went, he couldn't have been pleased with John Jones' performance either. I mean, it went all 5 rounds.
Right. It wasn't a catalog. I call them catalog fights that I'll tell people to look back on for this guy. It certainly wasn't one for the time capsule or the catalogs, for sure.
No way. No. That's a forgettable fight if you ever seen one. Now, Reed, I don't know if you have any insight, but I got to ask you every time I talk to you. What's going on with Daniel Cormier, Brock Lesnar? Are we going to see that or not?
I believe Lesnar is sitting out. He had failed a drug test after his last UFC fight. It might have been 2 or 3 years ago. I want to say the opponent was Mark Hunt. He had gotten a steroid exemption since he was coming from WWE, but then he failed. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'd have to investigate it, but I think there's a length of time, like Lesnar has to announce, yes, I'm back in UFC, and then I think a 6-month suspension ensued. So
he could still be in the midst of the 6 months.
Like you notice, Cormier ain't fighting nobody else. He's just sitting on the title, and they're waiting for this big money fight. And I think it'll come probably UFC's biggest yearly event. It's either in July or it's New Year's Eve. I'm thinking they're probably waiting for that July event. They won't even let Bones fight him for it. They want to make sure Cormier-Lesnar happens. And then if Lesnar wins, they damn sure won't be mad. Then we'll see Jones-Lesnar. That would be huge. That would be epic.
Well, that's really the money fight right there. I mean, because we know that Lesnar's gonna talk trash because he's a promoter. He's a sports entertainer before he is a fighter. Let's just be honest about that. And Jones ain't going to take too kindly to that, so he's going to talk trash too.
Of course. And if it's Cormier, either way, Jones can't lose moving up to heavyweight. He'll either fight Cormier or Lesnar, both huge money fights, both of them.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I think we'll see Cormier-Lesnar in the WWE before we'll see it in the UFC at this point.
You think so? I mean, it's possible. And Cormier has made it crystal clear he definitely wants to have a career in WWE after he's done with mixed martial arts. So it could, you could very well be right, dude. You very well could.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be right, but, you know, it seems like that's where we're going at this point. Speaking of Cormier, the last guy that he fought, Derek Lewis, he sure got his butt kicked the other night.
Yeah, I believe it was Junior Dos Santos, the shell of Junior Dos Santos, who whooped him. Derek Lewis, he's a funny dude, great promos, but he's a tough guy. He can handle his business on the streets. He's probably one of the 10 best heavyweights in UFC, which ain't saying much. But he doesn't put in enough time, or he's not serious enough about a mixed martial arts career. And quite frankly, it's too late for him to pick up any appreciable wrestling or kickboxing or Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills. Like, it's way too late in the game for that. So he's just getting money. He's going to knock some people out. Some people will knock him out. When he steps up to a Cormier level, he'll get embarrassed again. You know, it just is what it is. He's just a good mid-level, entertaining type dude. He's one of, he's kind of like a Mick Foley, I guess you could say. Foley's a legend, but in terms of winning wrestling matches, you didn't bring Foley there necessarily to win matches. He was tough. You'd get your money's worth out of him. He'd take his ass whooping like a man, and he'd come back and do it again. That's kind of who Derek Lewis is to me.
Oh, it just really makes me scratch my head because even during that fight, I mean, boy, he was doing some. It was almost like he picked up the video game and he learned a couple moves from the video game and he tried to do it in the fight. He was doing some kind of jump kick and all kind of crazy stuff. Like, what the hell?
With the dad bod on top of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he lost a couple pounds, but still, the dad bod ain't going nowhere. He just has to accept it for what it is. But it really was disappointing to see him get whooped as bad as he got whooped. I mean, that just, damn. I don't know if he's ever going to be
former world champion himself. JDS was a badass at one. About 5 to 8 years ago, JDS was a bad man. Now,
sure.
Again, this is the shell of him that we saw, but it's like we said about Mike earlier. He still got a little go. Don't poke some bears. They can still fight a little bit.
Yeah,
JDS still got a little something left.
He proved it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Switching speeds here, Reed. There's a big debate going on right now. You know, we got WrestleMania coming up in a couple weeks. Literally less than a month, probably about 3.5 weeks away. Ronda Rousey, she's had a couple of problems here. I mean, you know, she came into the company and everyone loved her and the fans were cheering her and what have you. And it just seems that they're getting a little sick and tired of her and they've started to boo her to the point where she's messing up on promos and things of that nature. And I guess she's getting fed up with the fans now. Fed up with the company, and she went off script and just started talking about how it's fake and how she can whoop everybody's ass and all this other stuff. What do you think about that concept of a fighter trying to assimilate in a sports entertainment world and things not going their way?
I think to me, it's the classic bully type deal. I don't want to see you bullying and injuring these women who were probably former fitness models before joining WWE. Take your ass back to UFC and put hands on Holly Holm or Amanda Nunes. These bitches who whooped your ass fairly. Where's that tough guy act? Where's that tough guy act when they're around? It's like someone said about Mike Tyson, love him to death. Said, yeah, man, Mike, he'll show act crazy and this and that. But let Evander Holyfield walk in the room. then Mike's, oh, hey, Evander, how you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Yeah, man, we had some good fights, huh, man? You really did a number on me, bro. You know, don't be all tough and angry when it's not suited. We've all seen you get your ass whooped. Then we saw you walk through the airport like a child who had been molested or something with your pillow covering your face and all of that. It was a pathetic look. She's sensitive as hell. I don't know if this is just part of her heel angle or what, but like if she's really deviating and literally injuring these ladies, one of them is gonna sue her eventually. Like, look, man, you're affecting my livelihood. I can't make money right now because I'm on the shelf because you deviated from the game plan, and now I'm on the shelf. I can't make money, bruh. Like, that's just so patently uncool, and it's classic bully shit. That's what bullies do. Instead of going where the tough people are, you're gonna take your weak ass over here and be tough. I can't. And I mean, Ronda probably can whoop my ass. I ain't sitting there saying I'm a tough guy, but I'm also not a bully. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. I don't act like I'm this certain level of tough around certain people. I'm the same person all the time. And it's just, those are harsh words I'm using. And maybe it is a promo, and if so, hey, you got me to buy all the way in. I'm the fish on the river, if that's the case. But it's just, to me, it's in the interview you sent me, like, man, come on, Ronda. I don't care. No one cares about who the best real fighter is in WWE. No one cares about that. Be the best fighter in the UFC again. How about that? Oh, but you don't want that smoke, though. Anyway, those are my thoughts, Brother Duke.
Well, hell, as long as Kurt Angle is still in the WWE, there's no question who the best fighter in the company is anyway. Right. Bad neck or not bad neck. As long as Mark Henry's still in the WWE, I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
No one's whooping his ass. None of y'all whooping his ass for real. And y'all know it. Whether it's Sid Carter, whether this guy over here pinned him 17 times. Okay, that's all right, bro. Let's step outside if you really want it. Ain't no referees out here.
I've heard so many wrestlers talk about the fact that when Mark Henry picks you up, including The Undertaker, he talked about that. He said, when Mark Henry picked me up, that's when I understood I ain't so big.
Was he an Olympic power lifter or something?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly. He's legitimately, he has the record of being the world's strongest man. And he's in the
that's that Texas strong, like you said.
Oh yeah.
Texas strong.
Oh yeah. He's in the Hall of Fame too, He's in the I believe it's the weightlifting Hall of Fame. I mean, wow. You gotta earn that. You gotta earn that. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed in Ronda. I understand that if it's a gimmick, that's great, but she has a pretty interesting set of bodies in her wake that she's definitely injured while in the WWE, and that's unfortunate, but
right.
I just think that she is not a sports entertainer, and I don't think she ever will be. And the WWE really needs to take a step back and think about some of these folk that they're bringing over from MMA specifically. Is it worth it?
What stuck with me, Bret Hitman Hart, best there is, best there was, best there ever will be, excellence of execution. Despite all that he accomplished with both major wrestling companies, the thing that stuck out to me was he said he was most proud of never, ever hurting another wrestler in a ring. And this man probably had 30,000 wrestling matches. He said he never once hurt another man in the ring. That's part of why he didn't like Goldberg, because I guess Goldberg wasn't trying to hurt people from what I read. He was just so new at it and raw that guys were coming up actually injured.
Oh, absolutely.
So to know that Ronda, if she's for real doing this, they should kick her out of WWE on that alone, just based on Bret Hart's assessment of his career versus what she's doing now. If this is really what she's doing, they should have already kicked her out. Just pair the contract, tell her to go somewhere and kick rocks. It's not even worth it to have her around if she's really trying to hurt the fellow wrestlers.
I hear that. Real quick, Reed, what are your thoughts on Kofi Kingston? They got a gimmick going on. They got a storyline going on where he may beat Daniel Bryan and eventually, for the first time in his career, 11 years, become a WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay, that'll be cool. Who was the last black one? Was it The Rock or? No brother don't get to hold the world title too long. It happens, but not as often,
Exactly. That's a good question. The argument would be it'd be either Mark Henry or Booker T, but there's a caveat there. And what I mean by that is they weren't the top champion in the company. You can give me the B-level belt all you want. That doesn't mean that you really are supporting me.
Right, you're not getting the most merchandise and all of that stuff. Right.
Exactly. So that's what people don't understand. When we say that The Rock was the first and only black top champion, and this is what we mean. He was legitimately the guy. There hasn't been anyone since him that's been legitimately the guy who's black. That is just a fact. That's the way it is. So, which is ridiculous for a predetermined sport. You can't tell me that's not on purpose.
Right. No, you can make it happen. You can. It's not just that it doesn't happen. You're not making it happen.
Vince McMahon can make Reed the top champion in the company right now.
Right, like today.
Today. Right now, he can make you, because it's his company. He can decide who's the champion, and that's just the way it is.
Was it David Arquette? He's like a former WCW heavyweight champion or something?
Exactly.
Like
listen.
So yeah, you're
Forget
right.
about WCW.
He could make me Reed BBS the heavyweight champion of the world if he wanted to.
Listen, Vince made himself champion before, so I mean, you got to call it what it is.
I knew he wrestled a lot. I know him and Stone Cold had some funny battles. I didn't know he named himself champion, though. Come on, bro.
Oh, he made himself champion. Yeah, he sure did. Come on.
Wow.
Listen, Reed, tell us about Pugilism Co. and how folks can check out what you got going on over there.
Home of the three-piece combos, Pugilism Company. We got articles, podcasts, special interest videos. We recently interviewed referee Lawrence Cole, who's had a lot of controversial assignments. I gave him the opportunity to personally respond to his critics in the media and explain his side of some of the controversial decisions he's been a part of. We interviewed Hall of Famer Donald Curry. He'll officially be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in June. We interviewed him a couple months back. I do about 5 to 6 podcasts a week. My alias is Reed BBS. The Blackbird Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. But hit us up on YouTube. You can search Pugilism Company, Pugilism Company, or on the internet, PUGILISMCO.com. Hit us up either way. You won't be disappointed. Please subscribe, like, comment. Hit me up on Facebook at Sean Reed. Same name on Twitter. Yeah, just get at me, man. Just get at me, please.
Good stuff. Listen, Reed, as always, man, we appreciate you. We'll definitely have you come back. Keep an eye out, especially on this WrestleMania deal. I definitely want to get your thoughts on whatever happens, especially with Ronda, as this continues. And who knows, we might see Daniel Cormier show up at WrestleMania. I'm hearing some rumblings about that happening. So,
anytime, Duke, you know you got it, brother. Anytime, any topic.
This is professional wrestling announcer, the young professor, a.k.a. the pro wrestler professor, and you are listening to the biggest heel in all of professional wrestling podcasts. We're talking the Boston Bad Boy and my boy Duke on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast.
That's right. We're back here. Always good to hear from my guy Reed from Pugilism Co. It's a combat sports website. And what do we mean by combat sports? We're talking boxing, mixed martial arts, all different types of hand-to-hand combat. I know that they definitely know their pro wrestling as well. So check out the site, pugilismco.com. It's a great site, great writing, and in fact, Reed, he does his own podcast on YouTube, which is hilarious. They're at Pugilism Co. on YouTube, and Reed is the Black Burt Sugar. So he's awesome. Great guy. Folks, just to wrap things up here, there's a debate going on about what should be the WrestleMania main event. Up until this point, we're assuming it's going to be Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship. But now we're hearing there's a possibility, if all works out, Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan will be a match at WrestleMania for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Some folks are saying that should be the main event because it's such a feel-good story. And in a way, it would be kind of like a passing of the torch where you have a guy like Daniel Bryan, who is the lovable underdog. He's going to pass the torch to a guy like Kofi Kingston, who has evolved into the lovable underdog. I mean, it really has me scratching my head here because I'll tell you, I was full steam ahead on the women headlining WrestleMania. At this moment, I still feel like that should be the main event. But an argument can be made for Kofi and Daniel Bryan. That's a pretty intriguing match. And I know folks would want to see Kofi somehow, some way overcome the odds and become champion. That would be amazing. Let's not forget he's held just about every title in the company, except for one of the World Heavyweight Singles titles. Whether it be the Universal or now the WWE Championship, either or. But you can't take away what Charlotte Flair has earned. And for all you people out there who are down on Charlotte Flair, cut the crap. Charlotte has busted her butt. She makes everybody she's in the ring with look great. Charlotte is a force to be reckoned with. She's awesome. Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, who Becky's caught lightning in a bottle. She's done a pretty good job of maintaining that, although I'm starting to hear, I think the fans are starting to get restless here. And it's almost like they're about to turn, which would be interesting if they turn on Becky. That would be interesting. And Ronda Rousey, who has brought the sports world, their eyes, fixated on what she's been able to bring to the WWE. And the notion that is Ronda going to legitimately beat the hell out of somebody in that ring. In my opinion, those women deserve that main event. But Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan, boy, that's going to be a match to see. And where do you place that on the card if it's not going to be the last match of the night? Do you place it before the women's match, like directly before? I wouldn't be against that. I would love to see that. I don't want to see that match earlier in the night. Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins, that's happening too. Who cares? Who cares? I would love to see Kofi, Daniel Bryan, and then see the women end the night. And end the night with either Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair walking out as champion. I do not want to see Ronda Rousey walk out of WrestleMania as Raw Women's Champion. She doesn't need it at this point. We've gotten everything we can get out of her in that regard. It's time for her to chase or go away. But I want to know what you think. Should it be Kofi, Daniel Bryan, or should it be Charlotte, Becky, Ronda? Which match should be the main event at WrestleMania? And there are no wrong answers. Don't get me wrong here. Either or is going to be fantastic. But it's interesting. What kind of history do you want to see be made here? Like I said, I'm going to reach out to our friend there, Jessie Jones. Hopefully she doesn't beat me up, but I'm going to reach out to her. You know, she was trained by Al Snow. He's one of the people that trained her. Maybe I can use Al as a way to get in. But I would love to get her on the show. I would love to interview her. Maybe I could pull some strings, get her on next week. Who knows? Keep your fingers crossed. Folks, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. I am the Duke. Unlike the Boston bad boy, I am not sick. That's because I use hand sanitizer, damn it. Listen, We'll catch you next week, all right? And listen, check us out, Facebook, Twitter, Duke Loves Wrestling. We got some contests coming up, too. Stay tuned for that. Without further ado.
Hey, this is the Duke of Dorchester. The one, the only, the man of the hour. Yeah, can you handle that, baby? I want to tell you this. You've been listening to Duke Loves Wrestling.